Let's talk about book covers. If you're new to self-publishing and you are close to finishing your debut novel, you've probably been focused on writing and getting that perfect to the best of your ability, and rightly so. But I think a book cover deserves the same level of attention because that's the first thing readers will see, and despite that old saying, never judge a book by its cover, we all do it. So I'm going to share with you what I have learned from designing my own book covers, the wins that I have had and the mistakes that I have made so that you can avoid them. I'll be sharing some of the ideas on how you can decide on what style you should choose for your book cover and places where you can go to find a designer. Later in the video, I'll show you how to get the IngramSpark cover generator template and the Amazon KDP cover generator template, so stick around till the end for that. Book covers tell readers where your book belongs in terms of genre. When you're in a bookshop, the cover is what grabs your eye first. You then look at the title, and if you think, yeah, this looks interesting, you pick up the book, read the blurb at the back, and make your purchasing decision based on that. If you have a bad book cover that doesn't stand out and doesn't reflect the genre or the current trends of that genre, readers' eyes are just going to sweep right over it to the next book, and you've lost a potential sale. Now, if you're going the self-publishing route, the honest and very hard truth is that the chance of your book being in a bookstore is slim. Not impossible, but not likely. Your sales are most likely going to come from online stores, primarily Amazon. There are at least 50,000 Kindle books published on Amazon a month. That's a lot of competition. So it's not only important to have an eye-catching design for your paperback or your hardcover design, but you also need to consider how that cover is going to look when it is the size of a thumbnail and is up against literally thousands of books on an online store. This is where good design comes in. You need a cover that looks good when it's printed, stands out as a thumbnail, conveys the genre, and is on the trend with that genre. If all of that sounds a little overwhelming and you have absolutely no idea how to get started or you don't know what makes a good cover, here are some tips for you to follow. Tip 1. Go on Amazon, look up your genre, check out the categories that you believe would be the home for your book, and take a look at the top 20 highest selling books. Take notes about what you're seeing. What's the focal image? What colors are being used? What kind of fonts are being used? Let's take a look right now. I'm going to take a look at the bestsellers in the dark fantasy genre on Amazon. So let's take some notes. Okay, so the first thing that strikes me is that these covers are using darker colors, probably so their focal feature and their title stand out. We've got a really large font or typeface, which is really what is drawing your eye to these thumbnails. They're all decorative kind of fonts, which has a fairy tale or mythical quality about them. And all their focal features seem to be crowns, swords, skulls, and serpents. Now, it's perfectly okay to save some of these images and give them to a designer and request something similar to that style. Tip 2. Now, something to consider when you are thinking about what you want your book cover to look like is what it's going to look like when it's printed. As indie authors going the self-publishing route, you have a few options for who you are going to go with for print on demand. These are IngramSpark, Amazon, KDP, Drafted Digital, and Lulu, to name a few. All of these places are only going to offer print books with matte or gloss laminate as the finish. You won't be able to get the spot UV finish or the foiling or that metallic book look. These are not offered at this stage, and if they were, it would cost a fortune to get printed. Now, a gloss finish is lovely and it is glossy, so if you want to take some nice photos or video of the book for your social media, it's going to be very reflective and tricky with the light. If you're going for a matte finish, it's going to make the printed color darker. CMYK prints darker than what you will see on a screen. So for instance, this is my book cover here on my computer, and this is what it looks like when it's printed and has a matte laminate. A lot darker. I recommend that you definitely get a proof copy of your book before publishing so you can just see what the colors look like. If they're too dark, go back to your designer and get the colors adjusted. The other problem with the matte finish and dark colours is that if you or someone who picks up your book has clammy hands, you will see fingerprints. You probably can't see it on the camera, but there are fingerprints all over this book. Tip 3. When you're working with a cover designer, remember that they can't read your mind. Communication is key. Tell them exactly what you are looking for and give examples of book covers that you really like and suit your genre. A professional cover designer will probably have a form for you to fill out asking you questions about your book so they can get a sense of the style and genre, the mood of the story, and what type of feeling people should get when they read the novel. Your cover designer will likely provide you with 2 or 3 draft versions which you can then take a look at. You could merge elements together or tweak the design with revisions until you get an image that you like and you feel fits the genre. Be open-minded and take suggestions from the cover designer. If you have an idea and they shake their head and they say, no, I really don't think that will work, then don't get defensive. Listen to what they're saying because they're a professional. They know what is going to work and they have a better understanding of how a printed cover or a thumbnail is going to look. I learnt this the hard way. So I am an okay artist. I'm not amazing, but I have a few skills. I know how to use Photoshop and InDesign, and for my Wayward Haunt series, I have designed my own book covers, mainly to save money. Now, if there's anything that you should spend your money on when you're starting out with a debut novel, it's finding a great editor and making that book the best it can possibly be, and it's having an amazing cover. They are the 2 items that you need to spend money on when you're starting out. Not marketing, not promotional products, not advertising with Facebook or Amazon ads, just your editing and your book cover. I decided that I'm semi-okay with design, so I'll design my covers myself. This is what I originally came up with. I didn't do any research on cover design. I just had this image in my head and was like, yes, this is it. This is going to be the cover. This is how it printed out. It has a matte laminate, so the colours are much darker. The title doesn't stand out, and when it was a thumbnail on the Amazon store, you couldn't even read the title. This book made absolutely no sales, but I learned from that. So about 1.5 years later, I came up with this design, thinking it was more suited to my genre. And I do like this design, but it doesn't scream dark fantasy. It says horror, and it is misleading to readers. The wrong people, readers who loved horror, were picking up this book and were very disappointed to find that they were reading a dark fantasy novel. And that was reflected in some of the reviews the novel received. Towards the end of 2022, I thought, okay, I need to reassess this. This is a series, the books all need to be similar in design so that readers recognize and clearly identify them as belonging to this series, and they need to say dark fantasy. If you are creating a series of books, then you need to consider a cover design that is going to be suitable for each book. Let's just take a quick look at my bookshelf. You can see how the series all have a very similar design, making them all easily identifiable. So I considered all of this and knew that my current book cover just wasn't to the standard it needed to be. I did the research, I took a look at what was trending, and I came up with a design that could easily be used across all 4 books. I chose a font that would stand out. This font is called Endor. I played around with the lighting effects for it because I really wanted the title to stand out in front of the castle. And because we were dealing with dark magic in the book and ghosts and necromancy, I designed these gothic borders. The top corners have the moon and sun, and then the bottom ones have skulls. For the spine, I have the title of the book quite large, so that will stand out if it ever is on a bookshelf in a bookstore, with the number so that readers can easily identify the order the books go in the series. Now, I decided to go with a small author name up here because I'm not a widely known author and my name isn't going to sell the book. Authors like Sarah J. Maas, George R.R. Martin, Stephen King, they'll have their names large on the spine because their names alone are probably what is going to do the selling for them. Back covers too are very important. I would say the simpler the better, because this is where the blurb lives, maybe a review or two, and your barcode. So you don't want it to be cluttered and difficult to read. You want someone to just pick up the book and start reading straight away. If they have to squint to read it, or there's so much going on the back cover, the reader will just put the book down and they're not going to bother. Tip 4. Don't be precious about your book cover. Yes, it has to look good, it has to be on trend with the genre, but that is the key word there, trend. What is suitable now as a book cover might not necessarily be what works in 3 or 5 years' time. You might be required to publish new editions of your book with new covers and new ISBNs to stay on trend with the publishing industry and what is reader expectations for your genre. So yes, it's okay to love your cover design, but don't be precious about it, because it's highly likely that one day you're probably going to have to update it. An example of this is this series here, the Iron Fae series by Julie Kagawa. I hope I pronounced that correctly. You should definitely check this book and the series out if you enjoy reading YA fantasy. I got these books when they were originally published, which was, let's take a look, when was it? Oh my goodness, 2010. Am I really that old? Okay, this is what the book covers are currently. So as you can see, trends change. Tip 5. Let's talk about how you might find a book cover designer. Now, you don't want to make this a stressful and daunting experience. And let's be honest, your debut book is also going to be the one that you look back on and go, gee, I wish I'd done things differently. And that's because you're going to keep learning the more books you write and publish. So how do you find a book cover designer? The first thing you can do is go back to that Amazon page, click on those books that you like, check the look inside feature and find the name of the cover designer. You can start compiling a list of the designers you like and then look at their website, see how much they charge, find reviews from other authors who have worked with them, and see if you think they will be a good fit for you and your book. Another option is to ask your author friends. That might be independent authors in your writing group, or it could be making contact and connections with authors in Facebook groups, or even going to local conferences and networking events. Chances are, if an author has had a great experience with a cover designer, they're going to be happy to recommend them. There's also a specific freelance site called readsy.com where you can check out designers. You'll be able to see an overview about the designer, their portfolio, their work history, what services they offer, and you can see reviews about what other authors have said it was like to work with them. You can then request a quote through the site, but you will need to create an account with Readsy to do this. Now, I did say that I would show you how you can get the IngramSpark and the Amazon KDP cover generated templates. Now, this is what you would give to your designer so that they can put the final design into the template, and so when you upload your finished book, you don't get errors saying your cover design doesn't meet the requirements for printing. Let's check this out. Here we are at the IngramSpark homepage. Now, what you want to do is click on Resources and Calculators, and then you want to click on File Creation, followed by the Cover Template Generator. We want to click on the Cover Template Generator again. Here it is. So, first of all, you need to put in your ISBN for your print book. This is because IngramSpark will generate the cover templates with the barcode included. You then need to select the trim size of your book. Mine is 203 by 133 millimeters. The next step is to select your interior cover and paper. So my book is printed in black and white on cream paper. The binding is paperback and is perfect bound. The cover finish. Now this is where you need to choose if you're going for a gloss look or a matte look. I'm going to select matte because that is what my other books are. Duplex enabled, that just means will there be printing on the other side of the cover? There is not. So I will click no. Page count. This is the number of total pages in your book. Now, of course, your book needs to be formatted in order for you to know this information, and I'm going to explain how I format my books in Vellum in my next video, but for this instance, I already know that my page count is 370, so I'm going to enter that. File type. Now, there are a few options to choose from. I'm going to say if you are working with a professional designer, they're going to want to use the first option, which is InDesign CC and newer. Email address. This is where the template, once it's generated, is going to be sent. So put in your email and then confirm it. You have some options here. You can put in the price and the currency and then click to include them in the barcode, or you can just leave them blank. Click submit, and that will generate the template. Now, normally it's about a 5 to 10 minute wait before you will receive the email. It's going to be sent as an InDesign file, so unless you have InDesign on your computer, you're not going to be able to open it. I would just forward your email to your cover designer. Let's take a look at what the template actually looks like. Here is mine. As you can see, the generated barcode is here. Now it has the instructions here. The pink section is the safe zone. This is where your text and your important images need to be placed and remain inside. The blue section is where the background should extend. To clarify that, this green line here, which goes right around the template, is actually the bleed section. This outside area gets cut off when the book goes through the guillotine. These two lines here are the fold lines for the book, so you want to keep the text and important images on your spine in the pink section. This is what the print ready template looks like with my book. Now, something else to remember is that it's preferable not to have a different color for your spine because paper moves in the printer and you'll never get your books an exact match. So for instance, say I wanted to have my spine orange. There would be a huge risk that the paper could move in the printer, the guillotine could be 0.5 millimeter off, and the fold doesn't quite sit in the right area. These things happen. That would mean that the orange print could slightly come onto the back cover or worse, the front. That is why I recommend keeping to one large image for your background so it doesn't matter if the printing is slightly off. Let's check out the Amazon template. Here we are on the Kindle Direct Publishing page, and this is the print cover and calculator template. First of all, you select your binding type, whether it is hardcover or paperback. Select your interior type, so whether you're going for black and white ink, premium color, or standard color. Just to let you know that printing interior color is very expensive, so I'd recommend black and white. Paper type, select white or cream. Page turn direction, in Western culture we use left to right. Measurement units, so this is whether you would like your template in inches or millimeters. I'm going to select millimeters. Your trim size, so my book is 133 by 203 millimeters, so it's this one here. Then you would click on calculate dimensions. And here it is. Now, it is sort of similar to IngramSpark's template. Here is where your book will be cut by the guillotine, which they have kindly shown with a pair of scissors. This is your spine margin and the spine fold here. And these are the safe areas where your text and images go. Now, all you need to do is download the template and send that to your cover designer. This is what the template actually looks like in InDesign. And this is what my book cover looks like in the template. There you have it. I hope that this has been helpful and has given you some understanding about cover design. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up, and if you are keen to see more content about my writing and publishing journey, click the subscribe button to be notified when a new video is released. Thanks for watching. Happy cover designing. See you in the next video. Bye.